Greetings YouTubers and Echo Bearcat Shredder Chipper owners. My name is Andrew and I'm here to talk to you today about how to replace the shredder blades in your Echo Bearcat Chipper Shredder. The chipper blades are quite easy to get to, and there's a number of videos explaining how to replace those blades or how to sharpen those blades. But there's very little information out there on the web about how to replace or sharpen the shredder blades in the shredder component of the Echo Bearcat Chipper Shredder. I bought the Bearcat 3305 shredder chipper, 3-inch shredder chipper, about 2.5 years ago. I've been using it quite a lot, and the shredder blades are shredded, really. The chipper blades I have taken out and sharpened any number of times, but the shredder blades I've finally gotten around to trying to replace. It turns out that it's not an easy task, and there's a few little tricks. If you buy the kit for the shredder, you get a set of instructions as to how to take the thing apart and replace the components. But that kit cost me $188 here in California. I think it's going to be worth it for me because I use the unit so much, and it's such a pain replacing these parts. I'd really rather replace them with new parts. But it is an expensive kit, and if you don't purchase the kit, you won't have the instructions. It does not appear that Echo has made the instructions for how to do that replacement available online. I am scanning these instructions and putting them on my blog, and the URL will be available at in the comments of this post, comments of this video, and hopefully that will help out some of you. Now let me show you the parts that you do get if you purchase the kit. So these are the parts that you do get if you purchase the kit. And again, it is an expensive kit, and I don't expect that everyone is going to choose to do that. In addition to the all-important instructions, and I'll just scan this for you here in case you aren't able to get to it on my blog. This is the diagram of the chipper disc and the 4 different shafts that mount onto the disc, and then the different configurations of the shredder blades that go on each of the 4 different shafts. Of course, you get a set of new shafts, each one drilled with the hole necessary for putting through the retaining screw. The retaining screw has a 4mm Allen head, and the lock nut on the other end is a 3/8 lock nut, or 9mm. There are, of course, the all-important brand new shiny shredder blades, and a variety of different lengths of spacers, so that to allow for the configuration of the shredder blades on the rods. A few extra tools that are going to be helpful, in addition to a socket set for taking the whole mess apart. And actually there's a number of other tools I'll show you that are outside at the moment. Here's my 4mm Allen, here's my 10mm 10mm wrench for the lock nut. And in addition, can be useful to have a grease marker for marking which of the blades and which of the spacers go where. And just to be sure I do everything right, I'm bringing a camera with me. I'm going to take pictures along the way, so that if I should happen to get any of the parts in the wrong order, I will have photos that I can refer back to and hopefully get things squared away. So with that done, let's go on outside and take a look at the chipper itself and go through the actual process of removing the old rods and replacing them with the new rods and shredder blades. Here is my Echo Bearcat SC3305 shredder chipper, and one note is in the instructions it points out that this rebuild kit will work for any 3-inch shredder chipper made by Echo Bearcat. Also, my impression from what I've seen online is that the same process is used for virtually any one of the Bearcat shredder chippers. But you never know, and your mileage may vary, so hopefully this will help, but I can't make any guarantees for any model other than this one, and really I can't even guarantee for this one because they may have changed it from time to time. Also, as an aside, I'd like to point out that I have made some modifications that make life quite a bit easier. One of them is I drilled a hole in this cover plate here and just attached a little hook to it made out of some coated wire so that I can just get that to stay open whenever I want to and not have to otherwise block it open. Another thing is I shred a lot of wet and green material, and so I'm actually using the wet and green material screen instead of the standard screen that comes with it. Trying to shred green material with the standard shredder grate is just an exercise in frustration. Lastly, it's incredibly annoying taking out the shredder grate because it's normally held in place by a pin with a cotter pin. I got so tired of pulling out that pin and cotter pin all the time that I drilled a hole in the side of my unit here on the drive shaft side, and I installed a knob that I use to hold into place the shredder grate. Hopefully it's light enough that you can see that in there. So obviously we take that out, throw that aside. Now the other thing that I did that I think was really helpful is I took my leaf blower and I shoved it down into the chute here, obviously with the unit turned off, and blew the whole thing out quite thoroughly, making it a lot more comfortable and pleasant to work on. And here is the very familiar guts of the shredder chipper, and these are the blades that we are looking to remove. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is to come around to the engine side of the unit and remove the pulley cover. The pulley cover is held on with 3 nuts. They are 13 millimeter, and I, for convenience, am using a nut driver on my electric driver. And so we'll just pull those off, taking care not to lose them as we drop them everywhere. I'm being rather careless because I'm trying to do this quickly for the sake of the video. Oops, and then I didn't get that off. Perfect. There we go. And off comes the pulley cover. Once the pulley cover is off, there's the magic hole that we are going to need to use to knock the shredder blade rods will come through that hole, and that hole is only accessible after you remove the pulley cover. On the other side of the unit is the other hole that I had never noticed, and I'm guessing most people probably never notice. It's that hole right there, and from that side you can put a rod through and hammer it through to hammer that rod out the other side, and that's how this whole process is going to happen. So this is the chute side. Surprising hole that you probably have never noticed. And there is the second hole you probably have never noticed. And the way it works is we line the rod up with those 2 holes, and that's how we're going to get the rod out. Now, of course, everything was rusted and stuck. So what I did was last night I came through and just inundated everything with 3-in-1 oil to release some of the rust, release some of the locked up parts. Some of it I had to hit with a hammer, some of it I had to inspire to move with a big screwdriver and a hammer. I even had to use a pry bar in a couple of parts. But now everything is loose and moving, and we can actually go ahead and do this. Let's say we're going to want to remove this rod and replace all of its component parts. There is the nut end, and the other end has the Allen head, and I'm going to go ahead and remove that. It's a 4mm Allen and a 3/8 inch or 10mm nut on this end. Now, of course, that Allen head is completely full of gook, so I'm using a little screwdriver and a skewer and a toothbrush to try and get some of that out of there so I can remove the Allen bolt. And of course, it was ridiculously difficult getting that nut and bolt out of there, but now it is out. So now we can go through the process of lining up the bolt with the holes on either end, lined up with the hole on this end, lined up with the hole on that end, and now we're going to want to come around to this end, and we're going to need to bang that bolt out through the other side. Now, there's a lot of things one could use. You could probably use a nail. You could probably use a screwdriver. I'm choosing to use an old socket extender that actually does not work for anything that I own anymore, and happens to fit that hole just perfectly. And then I'm going to hit it with a hammer. I'm going to hit it with a hammer a lot of times, and I will get back to you on this video after I've gotten that thing knocked through a bit. Stand by. One thing that I forgot to mention is that I went through, before hammering the rod out, went through with my grease marker and have marked each of the different parts, and I took my camera and photographed the whole thing. I'm partway through hammering the rod out, and you can see that these parts are no longer threaded onto the rod, and they will fall down and disappear now that the rod has been at least partway knocked through. Over here on the engine side, there's our hole next to the pulley, and there's the rod sticking out through that hole. And that's how this whole process works. And there we are, after about a minute of hammering, thereabouts. I've hammered the rod all the way through. It popped out the hole on the other side, and all the rest of these parts are ready to come floating off and get replaced. There are all of the pieces, plus the rod that I'm going to use. The new ones and the old ones, all nicely lined up. For what it's worth, all of the shredder blades, serrated shredder blades, all hang with the same slicing orientation, so you don't need to worry about forgetting which way those go, because you can just look at another set. They are all oriented the same way. That is actually shaft number 2 according to the diagram, and I was surprised to discover that the new rod went through perfectly easily, just slid right through. There was no hammering, no muss, no fuss, no bother. It went straight on, no problem. The only problem I did have is that I put 2 blades on the wrong side of the shaft, which meant that I couldn't get all the pieces together correctly. Then I realized I had one of the shredder blades on the wrong side, and when I figured that out, everything went together perfectly. Nice and easy, and there's the old parts, and there's the new shaft. Now I'm going to do the other 3, and I can show you the finished product. Okay then, so there you have it. It is actually the next day, as there was one rod that just would not come out, and I had to leave it overnight again, soaked full of oil, I had to bang it back and forth to get it to come out. But finally I got it. And here is the chipper, the shredder bay, with all new shredder blades installed. And of course, as long as I'm in here with all of my tools, I'm going to go ahead and pull the chipper blades out and sharpen those. And as long as I'm at it, I've also got a new air filter to put in. Here's all the old parts. Not sure if I'll discard them or try and clean them up. I haven't found a kit of just the blades, which is too bad, because that would be a much cheaper way of going. Some of these blades could probably be reused by flipping them over. So I'll probably hold on to these, throw them somewhere in the garage, and someday maybe reuse them. But there it is. Bearcat, Echo Bearcat SC 3305, pardon me, 3305, 3-inch chipper shredder. And that's the process of replacing the shredder blades. And I gotta say again, I'm really kind of surprised at how easily the new rods went in, given how much difficulty there was getting the old rods out. I wonder if something may have changed in the diameter. I'm not really sure, but I assume that things simply froze up over time. There isn't actually any rust, but things definitely corroded and froze into place. And there you have it.